Hello, good evening, everyone. It is Middle-Aged Gamer Guy coming from my brand new secret location of the new studio. And oh my God, what a hell of a day I have had to get this ready. Moved in at 11 o'clock, had numerous problems, but I'll talk about that on tomorrow's stream. But we're here, we are live, it is happening. Hello to Mia, hello. Oh, you like it, you like the studio. This looks so cool. It is, isn't it? And Chris's sign that he made for me is just behind me. So there you go. I will do guided tours and stuff on a couple of other streams, but we'll see. But going to move swiftly on, folks. As always, with me is my co-host with the most. I can never get this right. It's Mr. David Jones. Good evening, sir.
Just say hostess with the mostess. No, that's what you're going for.
Well, I didn't really want to do that, but you were kind of alluding to that.
Well. How are you, mate? You okay?
Very well. How are you?
Studio's looking nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been some very hard work. My wonderful wife has done a lot of hard work to get a lot of this together, and numerous other things of bits of kit and here and there, and an electrician today to get a few things that weren't working quite properly. But there you go. Yeah, Lizzie donated her lava lamp because it's pink and purple. Ta-da!
Very nice.
Plus numerous other things, but there's lots of things you can't see. We've got wall artwork on the walls and gaming figures and stuff, but we'll do all that another time. So there you go. So what have you been playing this week, Dave?
Oh, well, myself and a friend have been carrying on with our co-op session on Sniper Elite 4 and failing absolutely miserably to sneak around there. It doesn't work. I find like the systems in that game are a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes you think you're being quiet, and they just seem to hear you, and then all hell breaks loose. So basically, we end up killing everyone on the levels.
Yeah, I honestly think that it's the most stealth game where you just don't play stealth.
Yeah, it's just not worth the hassle. Just go in all guns blazing. That's the way to do it.
Anything else that's been on your list this week?
Yeah, I've been carrying on with Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm slowly saving the universe. Been terraforming planets by solving some alien Sudoku puzzles that the other alien races in the galaxy don't seem to have been able to solve for the hundreds of years they've been trying to work it out. It's not that hard. Did
you just say Sudoku?
Yeah, that is basically it. It's using symbols instead of numbers, but it's a Sudoku puzzle.
Okay. Yeah, I said I was possibly going to stream that another time. I think that's just put me off. But there you go. Whatever floats your boat. And anything else that you want to get around to playing in the next few days?
The other thing I have just picked up again since I had a 60 FPS patch for the PS5 was God of War. Ooh. So I've been itching to play it again because it was a really good game. And since that patch has come out, I thought, you know what, I'll drop back into it. And it does still look great. You know, it's a couple of years old now. It still looks amazing. You could happily imagine it's a PS5 game, I'd say, just looking at it. You know, running in 4K at 60 FPS. Fantastic game. I almost can't imagine what extra they'll be able to do graphic-wise for the second one. But I hope we'll get to see that later this year. I bet
well, fingers crossed.
Tasty.
Fingers crossed. We might.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, you never know. Dave, great to have you here, as always. Going to bring in our guest. It's Mr. Jason Dutton. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good, thank you.
Awesome. We're going to get you to talk a little bit about yourself first before we kick off with the show. So, Jason, I've known kind of on and off for a couple of years. I've met him at a few different things, a gaming. Well, I suppose it was a retro gaming show in Manchester, weren't it? A few years back. But Jason's career, it was funny. We were having a chat because we were looking at some artwork that someone done, and there was some artwork of New Zealand Story, which is a game I was very fond of. And Jason turned around to me and went, "I worked on that." I was like, "You what?" He said, "Well, I worked on that and this game and all this thing come out." And then I just learned all about what Jason does. So, Jason, do you want to start about how you got your career in the games industry?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, started out probably when I was like 9, playing games with my brother, and we're talking about real old school computers like Spectrums, and I used to literally sit and watch him play like The Hobbit, Manic Miner, that kind of stuff. And then he made me get a Commodore 16+4, and we used to play Dungeon Master on it together. So he'd be playing it, and I'd be sat there literally with a pad and pencil, and I'd be drawing the maps, telling him where all the keys were and where the lock chests were, because you didn't have maps in games back then. We're talking a while ago. But in terms of video games and my industry knowledge, probably 25 years I've worked in games. Started out as a games tester for Ocean, so that was my first ever job. working for Gary Bracey, Lorraine Broxton, and that was in Manchester when I was 16. So that was probably 1989, I think. Went from there to a magazine. So I then started writing about games. So that was a mag called ST Action, which I wrote for probably about 2 years. Then I took over and I was eventually editor of that magazine. So that was good fun. Left there like a lot of journos did, went into PR. So I was head of communications for Micropros. So Civilization, Formula One Grand Prix, XCOM, all that kind of stuff. Left there and joined Hasbro. So marketing director at Hasbro, worked on, bigger brands, Action Man, Cluedo, Furby, Scrabble, Monopoly, that kind of vibe. And then joined an American company and set up a European operation called Majesco. And we did loads of casual games. So things like Cooking Mama, Jaws, which wasn't casual, but, we casually sold it. Zumba, and things like, we did some really, really cool stuff like Psychonauts with Tim Schafer, which was awesome.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we did Psychonauts as well, which was brilliant. And I was at Majesco for probably about, God knows, about 12 years. Yeah, so I've been in games for quite a long time. And I've sold them, I've marketed them, I've written about them, I've developed them, I've published them internationally. So yeah, a lot of games experience, a lot of love.
Nice. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing now? Because
it's kind of strange because I've obviously always done game related stuff, but I've also done a lot of marketing related stuff. So I think my kind of primary thing at the moment, I work as a marketing consultant, a brand strategist and stuff, but I didn't want to lose my kind of connection with games because it's not only my hobby, but it was always something that I've done as a business. So I kept thinking back, I didn't have the knowledge or expertise to program or to develop or, kind of produce something from scratch. But I kept thinking about my love of arcade games from when I was young and that kind of feeling of, going into an arcade and seeing all the lights and the buttons and the noise. And it was just that kind of real kind of, I don't know, like a bookend in my life. It's something I always remembered. And I thought, it'd be great to preserve that. So I started thinking about arcade machines. So I have a little business on the side where we produce arcade machines with lots of different games on them. So that's something that I'm doing at the moment.
Awesome. We'll talk a little bit more about what sort of games are on the arcade machine near the end of the show. I know there's like tons of them on, so I'm not going to get you to reel them all off. Yeah. What have you been? What's kind of your platform of choice at the moment, and what sort of games you've been playing over the last couple of months?
I jump between. Obviously, I love the arcade stuff, so I'm kind of playing stuff on different arcade machines. But I guess I spend a lot of time on PlayStation, and I spend a lot of time on PC. So I kind of jump between the two depending on what I'm in the mood for at the time. So if I'm playing something and I've got 20 minutes before I've got to do something with the wife or the dogs, then I'll jump into Cold War and play a little bit of Call of Duty. But if I've got a bit more time, I might jump into something like a Breakpoint, or I'll go back to one of the classics like a Neo or a Dark Souls or that kind of vibe. I like that kind of. I think RPG is probably my main love. I think RPGs, that whole kind of customizing and replaying games with different builds and stuff. I probably finished Dark Souls like, I don't know, 20 times or something. Just loads of different types of characters. Everyone does the strength build, everyone does the magic build, everyone does the dexterity kind of build. But then I start doing poison builds, bow builds, bleed builds. You know what I mean? It's just nice to kind of play about and make it a little more challenging. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being our guest this week.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We are going to crack on with the show. We have got 9 new games that have come out since Wednesday last week, and up until there's one game that literally landed today. So we're going to go through some of them. Plus, we're going to give you all the latest news that's happened in the week. And we thought we could go with a week without talking about Cyberpunk. Not going to happen. We're going to have to talk about every week since about 2 weeks before we release. Me and Dave end up talking about Cyberpunk. So maybe next week, Dave. Maybe next week we won't get to talk about that game. Maybe.
I doubt it, mate. It'll be a talking point.
We'll probably talk about it until 2077, which is when the game's set.
I reckon so.
I'm looking forward to playing it when it's finished.
I think a lot of people are.
We're all waiting for that day.
This is the thing. I've been streaming that. I say this. I've been streaming this ever since it came out every Monday night. and gradually it's been getting better. But there's still huge problems with it. There was one thing where a character kept standing up and sitting in a chair, standing up and sitting in a chair, going really weird. But the funny thing is, now they've pushed back the Series X and the PS5 versions until basically the end of the year. Really, that's going to be the big new game that everyone wants to play at the end of the year, because everyone's just going to go, sod it this year, because it's, it's a shame. It's a shame, but there you go. Hello, Sammy. Welcome to the chat. Thank you very much. You like the studio? Good to see you. We are going to crack on. So we're going to talk about first couple of games. There's a couple of games that are fairly well big known games that people have been waiting, and then there's some games that are lesser known that even I was like, this came out, I don't even know, I haven't even heard of it. This one, I loved the first one of this. Came out a couple of years ago, made by Bandai Namco. This is Little Nightmares 2. This is the long-awaited sequel. Very much looking forward to this. Going to play the trailer, and then we'll have a discussion of whether we like this or not, and how well it did when it came out last Thursday. So let's check out the trailer. Here we go. Oh. I think the trailer's just crashed. Let's see. There we go. So that's Little Nightmares 2. Do you know what? I think we jinxed with that game, because a couple of weeks when we started the year off, we were talking about all the big games coming out, and we went to play the trailer and it crashed on me then. And then we've just done the same thing and it crashed. So I think they don't want us to talk about this game whatsoever. I don't know why. So sorry about it. It was a bit stop-start, but it works now. So as I say, this game, absolutely loved the first one. Followed the adventures of Six, who's the little girl in the raincoat. Big theme on sort of gluttony and all these people eating, and I won't spoil too much. This one follows a new character, but Six is kind of like a tag-along character. Carries on the story. Really sort of eerie characters and monsters. Little Nightmares was known for its big bosses, sort of claymation type bosses that come chasing after you. Again, more puzzle solving, more of the same. I'm going to start with Dave, because I know you've played the first one. Are you really looking forward to this, and do you think this will live up to the hype of the last one?
Well, I hope it will do, because the first one, as you say, it was a good little game. It wasn't too long. I think it kind of was the right sort of length. It just did enough. It did it well. Didn't go on too long and outstay its welcome. I kind of felt the DLC did that a little bit, because I played the DLC straight after playing it, and that just felt it took the idea on a bit longer than it needed to be.
Okay.
Still good. Still had some memorable characters. I'm hoping this new one's got the same sort of memorable characters. I remember the one character in the first one who had the really long hands that would just follow you around in the rooms.
Yeah,
it was very creepy. It had a great little creepy vibe all the way through. That was really cool. So high hopes for this one. I'm probably going to wait until at least the Series X version comes out, because I noticed that that's coming later in the year along with the PS5 one.
It is. Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see what they do DLC wise as well. Because last time they released the DLC in sort of episodes, I think 3 or 4 episodes over the course of a few months. So I might wait until it's got like a complete edition out later on in the year, pick it up then.
Okay, cool. Jason, are you familiar with this
I kind of heard of it because it's by it was Tarsa, isn't it? The guys who did Little Big Planet. So I'm familiar with them as a developer. Swedish guys know what they're doing, and you can tell it's got that same visual style. But it reminded me, it's almost like it's like a really spooky version of Ori. You know, that kind of lovely action platform. But I love that multi-plane element where you're kind of walking across the screen, but there's things happening coming towards the screen. You know, whether the guy shooting the box that you're hiding behind, and there was lots of things like that in Ori as well. And I love playing that because it just adds a nice little dimension. So I think I'll definitely look to pick it up. It looks really cool.
Okay. This is out on PC, Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Literally came out Thursday last week. As Dave says, the Xbox Series S and X version and the PS5 will be coming later in the year. Couple of things that people said about it, said that it does follow on the story nicely. Some of the puzzles aren't that clever as the first game, but they've also added weapons to it, which was something you didn't have in the first game. You're more dodge, whereas your character can pick up some like axes and stuff to attack like moving hands and things. But they're saying that they did feel that actually adding 6 from the first game into it actually hindered it more because she's like a tag-along character, ends up getting in the way sometimes. So as I do every week, and I want the chat to talk about this, is what do you think? And I get reviews from all over. I go on a Google search. What do you think out of 10 this got? Now, me in the chat has basically said 10 out of 10. I have to give it more because it looks like the sort of thing I play with the graphics and everything. Jason, what do you think it scored on average?
I mean, I think a lot of people will appreciate it for what it is and what it did originally. So I'm going to go pretty high. I'm going to go for probably 9.
Okay. Dave?
I'll go just slightly lower. I reckon it'll probably get an A. So I reckon it'll be as good as the first one, but not any better than. So I'll stick with 8.
Okay. Sammy says an 8.45. Like the fact you're being very direct with the thing. Yeah, it is. You couldn't get any more direct specific than that. Would you be surprised then that I told you that it got 7 out of 10?
I would actually. It's surprising. Is it some of the combat bits that perhaps brought the score down? We've mentioned bits of 6 getting in the way. Yeah,
combat bits are okay. Some of the 2D bits don't work as well as the first game, and they found that you were actually falling off scenery, or you saw the bit where the hands were grabbing through the things. You might be running down the middle, and then suddenly you got pulled to the side. It said it doesn't quite meet up with how it looks on screen. There's the hindrance of 6 gets in the way sometimes. And the fact that the actual campaign is only 4 hours long, which is less than the original game.
Oh, really? That's short. It's definitely one for a save in that case.
Yeah. So what I would say is it's definitely a good game. But like Dave says, maybe wait until they bring out the DLCs and they get a check. Because I remember getting Little Nightmares in the DLC for like £4, like 2 years ago. So it might be one of those that just sit backboard. Definitely play it, but give it. I know some people in the chat are like, it should be higher, but there you go. Don't blame me, blame the reviewers. It's not my fault. Moving on to another game. We're moving on to a game which originally came out on the Wii U, but as we know, not many people got a Wii U, and it was one of the least successful consoles for Nintendo. But the Switch has been having a resurgence of Wii U games. This one is another one, which is Super Mario 3D World. But they've done something very different. They've actually added an extra game in, which is called Bowser's Fury, which is a standalone game. It's not like additional levels. So we're going to take a look at the trailer for this, which is Super Mario 3D World for the Switch. And we'll have a chat about how this did when it came out again last Thursday. Here we go. There we go. So that is it. Apologies about the thing. Maybe I thought the studio was ready. Maybe I'm hardwired into the Wi-Fi, so we should be going. But apologies if the trailers are a little bit laggy. But it's my first day in the studio. We'll get that sorted for next week. At least everything else works. Fingers crossed. Basically you get the Wii U version of Super Mario 3D World, plus you get this whole new Bowser's Fury game. Which is something completely new. Very two different contrasting games. But what they've said is that the thing about it didn't sell well on the Wii U, but it was actually quite a loved game because it had so many different aspects from other Nintendo games. Like there's bits that were a bit like Zelda. You go through the tunnels and it reminded you of a Zelda game, and other bits which were a bit like Mario Kart. So it always kind of kept you guessing what was coming up. I'm going to start with Jason. Are you a big Nintendo fan at all?
I want to be, and I always wanted to be, but I don't know. I always struggled with Nintendo in terms of how they advertised and how they connected with me. It never seemed like what they were making they were making it for me. Does that make sense? It was always for someone else. It was always either for younger guys because I was older, or it was too twee and I wanted something darker, or it was too easy and I wanted something harder and a bit more, with a bit more of a consequence to what I was doing. I wanted more story, more character development. I've had lots of Nintendos and lots of consoles and stuff like that, but I never resonated quite as much. I always seem to err on the side of Sega and then going into Sony as well. So I respect what they do and how they do it, but I just think they do it for a very, very specific audience, and I'm not sure I'm that audience.
Okay. All right. Dave, your thoughts? I know you love the Switch, where you love a lot of things Nintendo. So is this something that you'd be picking up?
Yeah, I do like the Nintendo games, especially their own franchises like Mario, Zelda. I did have a Wii U. I brought one. I bought it fairly late, didn't bother with it at launch, got it when it went a bit cheaper. So I did play this Mario game back when it originally came out. And it was a pretty good game. I had loads of little cool ideas that you could do with the controller they had at the time. Like there was little bits you could blow into the microphone. It would pop out certain bits of scenery to make platforms up for you. That was quite cool. And my favourite part of it was these little sort of dioramas where you got to control Captain Toad and you could move them around, just completely spin them to find the little hidden power stars. And that bit proved so popular, they spun it out into the Captain Toad treasure tracker game. So it'd be quite fun to play those again. And they've sort of improved those, so you can now play them, I think, multiplayer. Because the main levels were always up to 4 players, but that bit was always single player originally, but they've boosted that up for multiple players now. So that would be cool. And that Bowser's Fury bit sounds really interesting because it's more of a sort of open world. You can go anywhere you want any time, which is unusual for a Mario game. So I'd be interested to see how that idea plays out. And since my daughter's a massive fan of Mario, I think this is one game we'll be getting and just playing together because we've played loads of the Mario games so far. So this is definitely going to go on our list.
Nice. Just before we carry on, I want to say thank you to Discord Rules. Just sub with Prime for his 3rd month in a row. So thank you very much for the subscription, buddy. So what do we reckon this got? Now, it's funny because I had to trawl through things where they actually reviewed the game separately, which makes my life harder. But then managed to kind of claw some reviews reviewed both and gave it an overall score. What do we think that this got out of 10?
I reckon it's probably going to be an 8 out of 10 game because I know it was never quite as well loved as the original Mario's. all the normal style ones, which are more single player focused, whereas this was multiplayer focused. So it's never quite as popular. Then it's got a more experimental game on it that I don't think is probably quite as good as it could be if it was a mainline one. So it's probably going to be an 8 I'd go for.
Okay. Jason?
Yeah, Nintendo fans tend to love their Nintendo games, don't they? So they always tend to give them an extra couple of points on top than they deserve. Yeah. So I would say I think they'll be generous, and I think they'll appreciate what they've tried to do with the 2 different streams of content. So I'd say probably a little higher, maybe 8.5.
Okay. Hello, Duron in the chat. Welcome. Good to see you again. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be really awkward about this. So if we separate the games, no, and he's not Jason from Friday the 13th. Duron, wrong Jason.
It might look like it, but
yeah. Discord says 8 out of 10. So Bowser's Fury generally got a 7 out of 10 across the board. Super Mario 3D World got 9 out of 10 across the board. But when you put the 2 games together, it gave you an 8.
There we go.
So there you go. So that's not too bad at all. But to be honest, a lot of people said for the fact that you get the other game chucked in with it, it's a bonus to have it anyway. So there you go. So that's so far that's our highest rating game. So we'll see if we get any other higher rating games this week. Going to go on to a little bit of news. But Duron says, Jason, can I call you Joe?
Call me whatever you like, mate. I don't mind.
Yeah, Duron's back here, so he calls me Bob of all things, but I don't know. But yeah, there you go. There you go. As long as you don't start swearing at him, it's cool. You can call him Joe. It's fine. We're going to talk about a couple of talking about platform games, but we're going to talk about PlayStation. No, Mia, don't worry, not Cyberpunk yet. You're all right. Don't worry.
It's coming up. Though.
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, talking about a couple of well-known franchises for the PlayStation. So obviously, last year, Crash Bandicoot 4 came out and was well received on all platforms, and they've just announced that is now coming to PlayStation 5, the new Xboxes, and the Switch later this year, which is a big thing. So people can play that. And also at the same time, Rachett and Clank, which is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, they've officially announced that is coming out June the 11th. Now, we showed a trailer for that on the show when we had Gov and Hales, the streamers from Ireland, on, and they were absolutely fanboying over that game. It looks fabulous. A lot of people are surprised that it's coming out early. They thought that would be a game that comes out at the end of the year. So tell us what you think about those games in the chat. I'll start with Jason again. Are these sort of games that you're familiar with and excited for the PlayStation?
Yeah, played them probably earlier on in the kind of console cycles. It's not, they're probably not, they're just sort of general exploration-y, combat-y, platformy vibes, which are, I've probably moved on in terms of what I expect from a game now, in terms of depth and kind of, customization and characters and stuff. And I think that's my thing with them. That's why I think I can't help it, but I just steer back towards things like RPGs because I want to do more. And they're great games and they're great fun and they're great worlds and they're great to explore and stuff. But I just want to do more. So I think I'll probably, if I was going to go for one, I'd probably go for Crash. I think I'd go for Crash over Rachett and Clank, but that's just because I've spent more time playing the earlier Crashes, I think.
Yeah. Dave, your thoughts on it?
Well, the Crashes, I never really played that. It's no originally out on the PlayStation. The only time I've ever played a bit of one was when they put a section of one of them in Uncharted 4. There was a section where Nathan Drake and Eleanor were playing Crash Bandicoot and you got to control it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a section earlier on they do that. Put it in there. You just play one of the levels. That's the only time I've really ever played one properly. So I've never looked at them, never looked at any of the recent ones. So they're not really on my radar. Yeah. The Rachett and Clank, I had just started trying out the Rachett and Clank that was on the PS4 because it's been included on the PS5 as part of the PS Plus collection. So it's just there to download. So I started a bit of play out of that on the weekend. And yeah, it's okay. It's like a little 3D action platforming game. And I can't say it would make me want to go out and buy the next one on release day, especially because like the RRP is like 70 quid for it. I wouldn't say it would be a £70 game at all. It's the sort of thing I'd pick it when it dropped down to like 30 or 40. But I can appreciate there's loads of people that do love those characters and love those games, so they might jump on it at that price. We'll have to see.
Now, I haven't played the fourth Crash Bandicoot. Am I right in thinking there's a time travel element to it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Because Rachett and Clank seems to have gone the same way with this new one that's coming out. But they're kind of going through time warp holes. So I just wonder.
Yeah, it's different dimensions. I think they're going through.
Yeah. So I wonder how similar they might be. Hopefully they're not, but I'm just wondering if one's yeah. We'll have to see. If you're Rachett and Clank fans or Crash Bandicoot, let us know in the chat. Tell us what you think of the games. We will move swiftly on to some more games that have come out. This was something that literally, funnily enough, some of you know that Pixie Star does all my artwork and all the bits and pieces for the channel, and she streams Persona. She loves the Persona games. Persona 5 came out a while ago, but they brought out a newer kind of version, an add-on, as it were, which is called Persona 5 Striker. Now, assuming it don't lag, we get the trailer and it works, God help us. We'll see what this is like. But we're going to talk about Persona 5 Striker, and we'll have a look and see what the reviews came out. Here we go.
Whoa! What happened to you guys?
Not just me. You changed too. Looks like this place is connected to the metaverse.
These cases are very reminiscent of last year's change of heart epidemic.
We steal the desires of the wicked and make them change their ways.
I'm gonna make you mine! All mine!
We always choose to change someone's heart instead of harming them. That's why we're the Phantom Thieves of Hearts.
Strike! I want to solve this case. Help me figure out this nationwide change of heart business, and I'll make sure you're all protected.
With the metaverse involved, we're the only people who can stop this. We have to help. Game up!
We're taking back those stolen desires. Let's do this!
Awaken your new self. This was different than expected.
There we go. That's Persona 5 Striker. That trailer worked. I think it was Little Nightmares just getting its own back on me. I swear. The first two trailers were stalling. This one would seem to be all right. So here we go. For people who love the Persona series, it's not something I'm familiar with, but I know there's people on this channel that do like those games. They, again, a bit like with the Yakuza games, the new Yakuza game we talked about before Christmas, they've changed up the combat. So it's gone differently. Whereas the Yakuza game has gone from brawler to turn-based, this has gone from turn-based to a brawler game, but it continues the story. I'll start with Dave on this one. Are you familiar with this series?
No, not even slightly, mate. Or I'd never really heard of the other ones until we started showing the trailers of Persona 5. I've gone back and sort of look at them. They don't really look like my sort of thing. I've never been massively into these JRPGs. They've never grabbed me. I know some people love to, don't they? Love the Final Fantasies, love the Personas, obviously. Since it's gone to real-time combat, it'll probably be a bit more up my street compared to the other ones. I don't really like the turn-based versions. But if it's sort of thing, if it pops on Game Pass, I'd probably have a look at it. But otherwise, it isn't going to tempt me to buy it.
Well, at the moment, it's not due to come out on Xbox. This is going to be on PlayStation 4 and 5, and is out on PC and Switch. Xbox is the only one platform that this has not come out on yet. But this all came out for those free platforms last week. Jason, your thoughts on this? Are you familiar with Persona?
Bizarrely, yeah. Played it. It was one of those. It was weird because it was one of. I wasn't a massive fan. I said love RPGs. Never been a massive fan of JRPG. It was just I didn't get on with the Final Fantasies, that kind of stuff. And then I just kept reading every time I was searching for good RPG. Good. It had come up. Oh, it's amazing! It's this fantastic thing. I thought I've got to give it a try. And it's one of the. It is exceptional, but also exceptionally bizarre. In that it's typically Japanese. You've got talking cats, you've got inappropriate schoolgirls, you've got all the kind of typical Japanese kind of content. But it's that it was such a weird thing because you play it and you turn into kind of superhero-y type characters where you'd be dealing with other people's like emotional problems. That was the kind of premise. So you'd be dealing with a guy at school who's a bit inappropriate, and you'd almost like you were going into his mind to try and unlock the issues, and then you'd have the turn-based combat. But it also had this weird like lifestyle sim element as well. So it was a bit like The Sims 2, in that you'd, as well as doing that, you'd also have to go home, go to where you stay in, rest, go to the library, research, do schoolwork, actually sit exams and stuff. So it was this weird kind of school simulator meets kind of turn-based kind of JRPG combat. So it's actually brilliant, and there's an enormous amount of content and depth behind it. But you've really got to give it some time and you've got to be open-minded.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds a bit more interesting hearing it like that. So just watching that trailer didn't really grab me with what it was.
It actually reminds me of a bit like Psychonauts, because the whole premise of Psychonauts was you go into people's minds to help with their emotional baggage, and you deal with all of that stuff. It has that kind of vibe to it, where you're dealing with these sort of complex characters, but you and your gang are trying to sort it out, and there's kind of schoolgirls and crushes, and it's really strange, but it's I think it's one you should play just to have known that you've experienced it. Yeah. One of those kind of genre defining games where I think it's worth a couple of hours of your time just to sort of understand what it's about.
Cool. What do we reckon this got on the scores across the board? Say in the chat if you want to have a guess what you think this got out of 10. While we're waiting for that, Joron says, "Why does Jason look like he's about to beat our asses?" I'm sure he will beat our asses at computer games.
I'm a nice guy, so
yeah, he is.
He beat me at Dark Souls. I haven't even completed it once.
This is going to go nuts on the reviews. This will be 9s, maybe even 10s. People are insanely passionate about this.
There you go. Oh, interestingly enough, Discord says, as Pixie does, if you want to check it out, she's streaming it at Thursday at 8:30 on her channel. So go check it out, peeps. Oh, she's streaming Persona 4. It still gives you a good idea what it's all about, but go check it out. She's on Thursday. There you go. Joran says a 4 out of 10. I'm guessing that's because it's not his kind of thing. Jason says highs, 9s, 10s. Dave, what do you reckon?
I reckon it'll be highs as well, because it's a well-loved series from what I know of it. So yeah, I'm going to go with 9.
Okay. It got an 8 out of 10 across the board, which is good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, as I said, that is out for PlayStation 4, 5, PC, Switch. Came out on Friday last week. So go check that out if that floats your boat. Now something, again, completely different. There's been lots of bizarre simulators games in the past, probably most notably Goat Simulator, which was a bit of a crazy game. But there have been other games like Farming Simulator and Bus Simulator. Oh, the joys. So get ready, folks, because this next one is going to be great. This actually came out on the PC a year ago, but they finally ported it onto Xbox and PlayStation. I'm sure everyone's going to be rushing out to play this one. This is On the Road Truck Simulator. Here we go. We'll have a look at the trailer, and then we'll have a little chat to see whether we think this is any good or not. Here we go. There you go. Now, the funny thing was, and this will kind of allude to how much how well this game has done. I could not find a trailer for the Xbox or PlayStation version anywhere, and this came out last Thursday. You'd think they'd have had a launch trailer. I couldn't even find an announcement trailer, so I just had to play you the PC trailer. But it is basically driving trucks, delivering goods, as you'd expect. The only thing that's probably not accurate about it is that if you're sat at the docks for like 15 days now because of Brexit, they've probably not added that in yet, but we'll see. That could be a DLC. You never know. I mean, Joran's just put 10 out of 10. I know. I don't know whether he's taking the piss or whether that's genuine, but I know one of the guys on the channel, and Dave knows him, Limbo, he loves stuff like this, like the Mud Runner, Snow Runner, other things like that. Yeah. So what do we, is this something that would be of interest? I'm going to start with Jason. Are you into sort of simulation games?
You know what? I have to look at, sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I look at it as a gamer, and I look at it as purely a gaming experience and a gaming kind of thing, in which case for me, probably not my cup of tea. I understand the appeal, but I think they tend to lack depth, and they're not particularly good simulators. Like the actual driving part of it, it's like you're driving a big box, which isn't actually what driving a truck's like. So it's, you know, and you can't pick up ladies of the night either. So I think given that you're not allowed to do either of them, I don't think it's a realistic sim. However, if I look at it as a former owner and managing director of a video games company, from a commercial point of view, I was desperate to sign stuff like this. I was trying to sign, there was a farming simulator one, there was a road simulator, because they were absolutely cheap as chips to make, and they sold bucket loads. And of course on PC, you don't have any of the royalty payments, you don't have any of the costs. So your cost of goods on a PC game is literally the Amray case, the actual DVD, and a couple of quid for printing. So you were literally paying about £1.50 cost of goods, and you could sell them for 20 quid, put them into retail, cost of retail trades is a tenner. You're making like 8 or 9 quid a unit. You pay 50 grand to have it developed, and you'd sell about 500,000 units. Nice. It was literally a license to print money. So from that side, I'd love it as a publisher, but as a gamer, it's not something that floats my truck.
Have you played any other type of simulator games?
What, myself?
Yeah.
I've been all over. Obviously part of my background is microprose, so they were a simulation company, so I was all over Falcon, F-15 Strike Eagle, Gunship, Formula One Grand Prix. I was in that kind of vibe. But then I did play things like Goat Simulator, just because it was it was a physics sandbox, wasn't it? You could literally just mess around, and that was really good fun playing it with like my niece and stuff. And they don't excite me. I appreciate them for what they are, but it's not something that I'd want to. If I've got a bit of time to play a game, it's not something that I would jump to kind of boot up now.
I've watched some videos of. Apparently, Train Simulator is very popular, and I've watched some people play that. But to me, watching a 45-minute train journey is just as dull as possibly playing a 45-minute train journey, and I don't see the appeal. This to me seems like it would be a little bit more exciting. I saw Bus Simulator. You pick up passengers, you get the fares, you got to go to the destination. It seemed that was a bit more what you'd expect, but even then I was like, this is not my sort of thing. Dave, what do you think about this?
Oh, it's not my sort of thing either. I don't really play very many simulators. The only one I've tried recently is the latest Flight Sim. That's quite good fun. But again, it depends what you want out of your game. Flight Sim's cool what it does. You're going from A to B. It takes however long it takes to fly normally. I always end up pressing the buttons to speed the damn thing up because it's going too slow for me. So I end up doing the same with this. Hit the button to make it go double, triple speed, gets you your destination quicker, and carry on. It's not what I'm going to be picking up. But yeah, as Jason says, I can imagine there is a huge market that love these sort of games.
Yeah. Mia was shocked to hear that there's a Goat Simulator. Goat Simulator is one of the funniest things ever made. You need to play it. I think you can even get it free. I know you're on Xbox. You can get that free on Xbox. Joran says, why is it that nearly every one of your guests looks like Hitman? Because when Brad was on, we were talking about Hitman, and he was like, we've got Dave, we've got Brad. Jason. It's not deliberate. It's just the way it is,
Well, a lot of us, when we hit a certain age, the old hair starts thinning. It just happens. You end up looking like Hitman.
This is a wig. I'm actually bold as well, Joran. This is a wig. There'd be too many Hitmen on screen. But he's also asked, he kind of missed this because Jason talked about this earlier, kind of games. Jason, if you want to put in the chat, because Duran wants to know what kind of games you've been playing. If you're happy to put in the chat, that'd be cool. Save you repeating yourself. But what do we think? Now, I'm just going to remind you that this was ported over from a PC version that came out a year ago. It's come to Xbox and PlayStation. What do we think this got out of 10? Now, Duran has actually been saying he was being serious. He would love to play this. He would give it a 10 out of 10. So what do we reckon this has got on the reviews?
Well, I wouldn't score anywhere near that high. I'm going to guess about 6.
Okay, Jason?
As a game, 5.
Jason's on the money. It got 5 out of 10. Apparently, it's quite poorly ported to the PlayStation Xbox. It said it doesn't have half the features that were in the PC version.
Oh, that is disappointing.
So it's disappointing. It plays, but it's there. Discord said 7. Mia said 5.5. Hello, Foxy. How you doing? Good to see you. Foxy says hi to the guest. Our guest is Jason. Foxy, say hi to Jason. So no worries, Foxy. Good to see you. But yeah, it's an interesting one. 5 out of 10. I guess if they ported it better, it probably would have got a better score. But I don't think that's going to be lighting up. I mean, I have seen some videos already with people doing tutorials, like 40-minute tutorials on how to do this. People are going to go and buy it. You know, as you said, people love simulators, so people are going to go buy it. So there you go. But here you go. Not our cup of tea. Moving on to some news stories. Going to talk about PlayStation and Sony. This week, they have been hit with a lawsuit. Now, Dave's probably going to elaborate on this. It's all to do with... you can't see the comments button, Jay. If you go to on the thing, there's a little button that should say comments.
I can see the comments. I just can't see the how to reply.
Oh, so just underneath that, there should be a bit where you can type.
No, it's not showing. I'm just going to I've got.
We can't reply to the normal comments. We can reply to you in the private chat, can't we? That's the only option I've got.
Tell you what, then whack it in the private chat, and I'll cut and paste it. Sorry about that. I thought you could chime in on the chat. That's my.
Probably thought I was being rude.
No, that's my fault. I didn't realise you couldn't do that. There you go. While you're doing that, oh God, this had to come up. What does Jason think of garlic bread? This has been a thing that's been going on for weeks with Foxy. What do you think of garlic bread?
It's outstanding.
There you go. There you go.
The correct answer.
It's literally the combination of two amazing things just made better by putting them together. Stick a bit of cheese on, job's a good one. That's any better than that.
There you go. It's so funny how this has been a long-running joke.
And I'm 48 on, just so you know. I know I don't look it.
There you go. No, he's 48. He's good looking for his age.
I've lived a very good life.
Yeah, Jason is the best. There you go for liking garlic bread. Oh look, he's going to start trending on Twitter now. But there we go. So we're going to talk about PlayStation 5. Sony are getting sued. This did happen to Nintendo a while back with some of their controllers. It's basically, if I get this, it's called drifting, where your controllers aren't actually synced how they are supposed to be. And if you're playing a game, say something like Call of Duty, and you left your controller there, you'll notice your crosshairs slightly start moving to the right. It has come up this week that the new PS5 controllers are doing this. And now someone is suing Sony, which in my mind is crazy. But I guess if it's affecting your games or your tournaments and stuff, you've got the right to do that. Dave, do you want to elaborate a bit on this? Because hopefully you've... I know I've got this news story to you a bit late, but hopefully you looked at this, because I know anything with PlayStation you're quite hot on.
Yeah, I read about this one as well. So as you say, yeah, if you put the controller down, you're not touching it, yeah, it can still end up moving. I think it things to do with the analog sticks. Some again, it's going faulty there, and yeah, you get a little bit of drift. But as you say as well, it happens to, I think, all the console manufacturers. Nintendo had the issue with their Joy-Cons. I think even Xbox had the issue as well. I think, I'm not sure in the normal controller, but definitely in the Pro controller, I believe they've had the issue. Okay. Yeah, and it's a bit of a shame it ends up going as far as lawsuits, because you kind of think, is it worth doing it as a lawsuit? But I think it gets to the point with some people where they don't feel they're getting a decent response from, Sony, send it back for repair. They might send it back, it comes back and it's still just the same thing, or it only lasts a month or two and it starts drifting again. So it's one of those quality control issues. So I think they get to the point where they think, let's just sue them, get loads of people to join in. It will force them to, do something, to look at it properly.
Problem is, with it being a class action, they'll end up. They do a class action lawsuit, but their lawyers will always get around it and say that whenever they signed up for the terms and conditions are using the hardware and the software, there's a certain route that they should take to communicate their displeasure, and they haven't followed it. So the class actions always get thrown out. But like you said, it ends up being a PR thing where you hope enough people bitch about it that they go, okay, we'll fix it.
I think that's all. Yeah, to me, again, when I heard about it, I was like, really? This is kind of what people be asked. I get the whole lawsuit thing with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. I understand that. But this, I was just a bit like, because I was like, do you know what? If you're that hard up, you can get more pro controllers that are compatible with gaming machines. So why don't just go out and get a different one? Right. If you're that disgruntled, or if you're that hardcore gamer and you play tournaments, then get a bit of kit. That's my opinion. But, there you go. Let us know what you think in the chat, whether you think people should basically sue if their controls aren't out, or do you think that the gaming companies should get them repaired quicker? Bearing in mind that it's difficult enough for them to get the consoles out because of the pandemic, so they're short on parts. So go easy on them, people. I just think, to me, it's one of those that people are just causing shit for no reason with stuff like this. And it's like, if there wasn't a pandemic, people would probably do it and people would be like, all right. But this, to me, is like the worst time to do it because it's just causing shit for no reason. But there you go. No comedy links, I'm afraid, Duron. The Mojo Bites will be back as of tomorrow's stream because we don't do Mojo Bites or channel points redeems during the chat show. But I can tell you there will be 5 new things that are added. So if you basically want to make my life hell while playing Sea of Thieves tomorrow night, you can have some fun. So there you go. There you go. Well, I'm not going to tell you what they are. They're going to be surprises. So just to say, Jason, there's these things. My little dog's called Mojo. So you have channel points in Twitch that people can redeem things. Mine are called Mojo Bites. And I stupidly did things like make me sing for the next 5 minutes, play with the controller upside down, take my glasses off so I can't see the screen, just end up dying constantly. And I've added some more things. And I'm just thinking, I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? But it makes for amazing viewing. So there you go.
It's like Big Brother. It's good to watch people be tormented.
Yeah, it's bad enough I'm bad at these games at first, but to then be even worse at them just kind of layers it nicely, I think. But
the singing ruins it for the rest of us, though. I mean, just turn the controller it spoils it for you. The singing, horrible for the rest of us. I've
had many a game where people like Dave or do you know Paul Newton, the magician, Jason? Yeah. He's been on a couple of streams with us, and they're just like, Jesus, make it stop singing, just stop. And there's me singing away. But there you go. But yeah, there you go. Sorry, folks, but there you go. It's painful for Dave, but it's fun for people. There you go. Joran asks, do you stream, Jason, or do you do anything like that?
No, I'm old school.
He's old school. We'll talk about the old school stuff a bit later on in the show. We're going to move on to some. Now, this is kind of the section of games where I was just like, there's another 5 games here. I have not heard of any of these. I know very little about them. But these all the next 2, these came out on Thursday last week. This next one looks quite interesting, I have to say, because of the art style. Again, I believe this was a game that came out on PC about a year ago. Came out on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch on Thursday. This is called Death Crown. So we will check out the trailer, assuming we've got no more little bugs. And we'll have a look at it. But this one has got my interest because of the art style. So check this one out. Here we go.
I've seen the as I hang over the canvas, the lives they paint. We worlds away, and I felt the wind today. The inner God keeps the sands at bay. With eyes of clay, we move. Now we stand on the edge of the regions, but I will not bend. You people who will catch us create. We might take this stand in the gardens again.
Now, interestingly enough, yet again, I could not get a trailer for this at all for the Switch or PlayStation or Xbox. Now, take what of that you will after we talked about the last game. But this is a nicely drawn game, artistic game, strategy game. Discord says 4 out of 10. Duran says 3 out of 10, 2 for the music. Dave, thoughts on this? Have you seen anything like this before?
Graphic style wise, when I first looked at it, because it's going for that really basic 1-bit style, kind of reminded me think of that Return the Obra Dinn game that came out last year. Different style of game, but it was going for the same graphical sort of look. So it looks interesting enough. I mean, in the trailer, it only showed black and white, but looking at some of the screenshots, it comes in orange and yellow, various colours.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression with that trailer, they put the heavy rock track on there just to make it all a bit more interesting, because it didn't look like the most interesting game to do a trailer for, did it? Just a sort of basic graphic-wise RTS game.
It was like, if you like your rock music, this is for you. But I would be very surprised if that music's even in the game. So
yeah, I can't imagine it really fit it normally, would it? Yeah. That's something a bit more somber, a bit more medieval in tone.
Jason, your thoughts on it? Oh, sorry, Dave, you haven't finished. Go on.
No, carry on.
Sorry, my apologies.
I mean, take this in the nicest possible way, but it looked a crock of shite. I mean, it looked like Populous from like 1980s before it was rendered. I mean, I get it was kind of supposed to be an RTS and this, that, and the other, but it just didn't. There was nothing in that trailer that made me think, yeah, I really want to play that. That looks super exciting. I can't wait to, power up the mouse or the touchpad. It just, didn't do anything for me. Sorry.
Cool.
Literally the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's all right. Don't worry. Right. So what did we think? This got a lot of people saying 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 4.5 out of 10. Dave, what do you reckon this got out of 10?
Oh, so it didn't look that great to me. I'm going to go for a 5. Don't think it looked very good.
Jason?
It's one of those ones where, if you're honest, based on that, there wasn't I'd say 4. But it'll also be one of those ones that people will look at and go, oh, yeah, it's amazing because it's such a great juxtaposition of design, style, inner conflict and death metal and bollocks. It'll sort of give it 9, but it should get a 4. But.
Okay, so you're saying a 9, but it should get a 4.
Yeah,
well, you're not wrong because it did get 9 out of 10.
The world's gone mad. The world has literally gone mad.
That is technically, if you don't count one of the 2 halves of the Super Mario World game, technically is our highest scoring game of tonight. So that's going to give a bit of a clue about some of the other games.
I keep drawn on a napkin.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get it.
It'd be interesting to actually play it then, since it's a 9, see what it does right to deserve that score.
Yeah.
If it pops one Game Pass, I'll have a look.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Again, it just shows the fact that they haven't done a launch trailer or anything for it is a bit bizarre. Well, I couldn't find one anyway. But it's somebody loves it.
You put in the trailer if it's that kind of that art style, and it's almost like it was RTS, but more like Missile Command, where you would just kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, how much you can't fill a minute of that, can you? I don't know. Maybe it was just a really bad trailer, but it did nothing for me. I'm sorry.
We've had this conversation before where there's been some games where we watched the trailer and we were like, this looks like utter shite. And then it turns out a couple of weeks later, that game's absolutely amazing. And then we've had someone go, oh, yeah, this looks fantastic. And then you realise it's like a 2 out of 10. See, sometimes I just don't think they do games justice with the trailers. But that's like film. So you just don't know. So our next one. Now this one I can't do review scores for. It did come out Thursday, but could not get any review scores for this. So God knows whether it's any good or not, but we'll still discuss it. This is, wait for it. We always get the games with really bizarre names. Ultimate Adom Caverns of Chaos. God help me with these names of these games. Yeah, obviously. Obviously Ultimate Adom, but Adom spelled A-D-O-M. Here we go with a trailer for this. This is a PC-only game. Came out for PC on last Thursday. Let's check out the trailer.
The world of Ancardia, a large, peaceful place where many kin coexisted for eons. Until hundreds of years ago, chaos broke out and began corrupting all life. Till an unknown hero finally came face to face with Andor Drakon, the Lord of Chaos himself. Their mighty clash unleashed a cataclysm, turning Ancardia into a prison of interconnected dimensions. Traveling the mountains, shattered by this ruinous event, your journey begins in the caverns of chaos. Embrace your destiny in Ultimate Adom.
There we go. Now, apparently it's a sequel. I didn't know that. I obviously didn't bother to watch the trailer all the way through when I checked this out. But it's funny how John was like, this looks amazing when it kicked off. And then when the game footage started, he went, oh, shit, I changed my mind.
The game footage doesn't really grab you, does it? Doesn't look particularly great.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of. Do you remember the board game Hero Quest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love that. And it was like an extended version of Dungeons and Dragons and all that sort of stuff. It's just like an online version of that. That's what that reminds me. It's a dungeon crawler. You pick your character, your stats. But it's just like a tabletop game. Did this grab your attention? And were you surprised to find out this was a sequel, Jason?
Not surprised, because I'm familiar with the early one. I mean, I'm a big fan of roguelikes, love kind of roguelikes and Metroidvania type games anyway. So love a dungeon crawler. The only thing that looked a bit, I mean, it looks like every other dungeon crawler, except the animation's a bit kind of blocky and jumpy. And it reminded me a bit of Gauntlet in a strange way. I don't know why they did the ASCII version. That just looks pony, that. I don't understand that. But in terms of the visual style, it almost looks a bit like Asterix meets Gauntlet. You know, that kind of weird. It was just a very strange mix. And like you said, the intro, the trailer did absolutely nothing in terms of that intro versus the actual game. They chalk and cheese, because it's a lovely kind of painted, almost like oil painting landscapes. It looks like something really quite interesting, and then suddenly it drops you into that. So I'll play it. It looks like something I definitely have a little go of, but I'm not quite sure whether I'll enjoy it. It's like marriage, same thing.
Yeah. Dave?
I do it, but I'm not 100% sure why. Or
Unlike marriage, at least if you don't like this one, you could return it, get your money back.
Yeah, did that with the first wife. Didn't get my money back. Didn't get my money back at all. Very expensive trading that was. Anyway, yeah, I'll definitely play it.
Okay, cool. Dave, your thoughts on it?
It's not one that I'd play. I mean, the graphic style doesn't appeal to me. The sort of idea of the 2D sprites and the 3D environment just didn't really look quite right to me. If it had more of that, the nice paisley style it had at the start of the video, it might have held my interest a bit. But as soon as I saw the way it looked, it just didn't grab me. And I'm not really that interested in playing a game that's got all these procedural dungeons over and over and over and over again. I prefer playing so it's got like a story that you play for a bit, you get to the end and you're done and you move on. I don't want to keep playing something over and over forever and ever. It doesn't really interest me, that style.
Do you think this would appeal to the D&D fans who want something a bit different?
I can see it probably would do, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I couldn't get any review scores on this, but this came out on Thursday on PC. If it's the kind of thing that floats your boat, go check it out. That is Ultimate Adom, Caverns of Chaos. Easy for me to say, I'll tell you. Moving on. So we're going to talk about, dare I say it, we're going to talk about scalpers again. Woo! Here we go,
Aren't
Dave.
they lovely?
Aren't they lovely? This seems to be the second biggest topic we talk about, apart from Cyberpunk. But not the usual thing, because we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, scalpers doing things with Xbox and PlayStation. This is really random, this one. So out in America, McDonalds have done a big push for Pokemon. And they're doing sets of Pokemon trading cards with Happy Meals. And it has now been reported that scalpers are getting all these trading cards and selling them for thousands on eBay and other sites. Now, what it is you get about 4 or 5 cards in a Happy Meal. And it's been reported from some McDonald's in America. It's got so stupid that there's queues literally hundreds of meters long at 5 o'clock in the morning when they open to buy the Happy Meals. Or it has been recorded in one store that McDonald's actually posted it, that one person, and this is what I think is really bad, and shame on this person, bought 450 Happy Meals. You get the cards and then threw the fucking food away. Which is...
That is despicable. They shouldn't allow them to do it.
Yeah, well, they've now put a ban on some of the stuff. It seems to be, for the news story that we've had reported, that some stores are putting like a block on it that you can only buy 1 or 2 maximum in any one go. And if they see you coming back and that, they're like, no. Some stores don't give a shit and are just giving them away. But it's absolutely crazy that people are now selling these collectible cards that come with Happy Meals for thousands of pounds. Yeah, and as Joran said, the poor kids don't get Happy Meals. And even worse, some of these people are dumping the food. Now, if they're eating the food, fine. I ain't got a problem with that. But you're dumping 450 boxes of food. Shame on you. What do we think about this, gents?
Oh, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, there's plenty of people who would, be happy to have that food, wouldn't they? It's all chucked in the bin and going to waste. I suppose they haven't got the option to just buy the Happy Meal separately, because you can do that over here.
Yeah, which is weird. You can buy.
Why is that not an option? Why do you have to buy it with the food?
I don't know.
And I've never really got the whole Pokemon craze. Not at all. But I know when they had that pop-up store in London, they had massive queues for that, didn't they? People trying to get all the exclusive Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
So I know it's a big popular thing, but I've never got Pokemon. It's never appealed to me at all.
It's really bizarre. I'm not a big Pokemon fan. The wife is. She'd probably get it. Whether they bring this over to here, I don't know. Speaking of other countries, want to say hello to Opa Gang. Hello, all the way from Germany. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Talking about the fact that scalpers are nicking Pokemon cards from McDonald's. Jason, what do you reckon about this? And do you think that McDonald's should do more to stop it?
If you hadn't have said that last bit of the story where you said they were throwing the food away, I would have believed it was a ruse to just basically for Americans to eat more.
Yeah.
And it was nothing to do with trading cards. It was just their way of justifying eating it more and more.
I don't think they need a ruse for it, do they?
I think it's... the whole kind of wastefulness of it is despicable. I mean, I also just think the whole premise of that scalping, they're doing it like the same guys who were doing it with Xboxes and PlayStation 5. They're doing it just for commercial gain, and they're also stopping other people from having the opportunity in it. And it's that behaviour of the few tends to affect the many. And it'll be, like you said, it'll be, you know, kids who don't get their Happy Meals, you know, who go there for a specific reason. They're not going there for commercial gain. They're going there to enjoy the emotion and the feeling of buying that thing and what it means. They're going with their, you know, their mum, their dad, their brother, their cousins, etc. It's an experience, and they're potentially being denied that just by people that are looking at it purely for a commercial gain. And like Joran rightly says there, you know, if you're wasting that amount of food, you think about food that gets wasted anyway. There's so many better things it could be done with. And Nintendo, maybe this is, if I was doing their PR, I'd use this as an opportunity to buy a bit of goodwill, and I'd do something, you know, for every one of those meals that was gone, I'd be donating to charities and helping feed people who need it. But, you know, I'm not doing their PR. So.
Yeah, I think it's rather shocking. They need to do something. Whether we'll get a follow-up story on this next week, I don't know. Sometimes we get follow-up stories. We'll have to see. I want to say a big thank you to Opa Gang, who's now followed the channel. Greatly appreciated it. Hope you enjoy what we the content put out. But I think that's the worst thing, because we do hear about, like, I'm not trying to big up McDonalds, because frankly I can't be arsed with them, but they do things for, like, the homeless and stuff over here. So you'd think that they would do something, you know, or people that are doing it would say, I mean, if someone spent God knows how much that must have cost them, 450 Happy Meals they bought. If they've got the money to piss that away, why not just go round to everyone and go, here, have that. I've taken the cards out, but have a free meal. Instead of just going, chuck it in a dumpster like an arse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not good. Right, moving on to more games. Now, if you thought that the games couldn't get any weirder,
scrappy because they are.
Excellent. This one, Jesus. All I'm going to say is, if you're a young kid, I can't endorse you playing this game. This is all I'm going to say. Now, the premise of it, all I'm going to say is this came out on Friday. It's out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Nintendo Switch, so it's out on all the platforms. It sounds like an action shooter because it's called Calgun Returns. It's not. It's a game where you basically shoot women to make them fall in love with you. Yes, that's what I said. You shoot women to make them fall in love with you. Get ready for some crazy anime stuff. Here comes the trailer for Calgun Returns. Here we go.
Wow.
Kimi wa motto oshete kuraru Himitsu ga yo yuriki ni hokage deどんなアピールだその子もこうやったね Yes No Yes Alright love me better キスしたくて一緒に帰るよもう話せない今ギュンギュンギュンギュン引っ張りちゃったふらめいてふらめいて気持ち届けよう一途じゃなきゃダメだから
I mean, I could start with what the actual fuck. I mean,
that's about all you need. I think I've heard enough Japanese schoolgirl screams to last me for a lifetime now.
I know. So apologies to anyone who's had to listen to that. I mean, Joran said that's the game for me, but they said 2 out of 10, too many colours and too many anime things. I'm not going to even say that last bit. That's your opinion, mate. But do you know what? It knew what it was doing, because even the bit when it says, and you get your happy ending, I mean, that just says...
It's just cringeworthy, really, isn't it? I don't know who it appeals to.
I don't know. I know people go mad for these mad simulators. Oh yeah, you think that's bad? You should see Honey Pop. I've heard that as well. I think it's the same sort of type of game. But there's a lot of games that are just mad like that. There was that Colonel Sanders dating simulator thing where you play Colonel Sanders, but you date women. But it's a bit.
What, the chicken guy?
Yeah, just a bit weird. That they come up with these things. I don't know. It's so mad. But yeah. Oh God. Games like that, I'm just like, what were people thinking?
I'd play it, but obviously only for the story.
I think a lot of the poses said it all, really, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't know what to think about this. It's certainly not a game. That was obviously the PG rated trailer. Obviously, I can't play the 18 rate trailer. I'll get shot down or something on this. But Christ knows, there's got to be a market for this. The anime freaks must love this. But what do we reckon this got out of 10? Because my mind's just like, what the hell?
I think from what I saw on that, for me, I'd give it like a 3 out of 10. But I can see, looking at Steam, there's about 55 people who have given it very positive reviews. So there's a market there for it.
I wonder if
some people like it. Oh, God knows.
Oh, mate. What do you reckon, Dave?
Oh, I reckon about 3 out of 10 for that. I think it looks rubbish.
Jason?
I mean, it's Christ on a bike. I mean, you think Persona was, is weird because it's got elements of kind of love and stuff, but this is just, it's almost like this isn't suitable for the Western market and that they've done it just for the, just for the Asian market. But obviously, if it's going to come over here, it depends who's reviewing it. But I mean, even subjectively, 6.
Okay. Discord's giving it 4. Duran says 2 out of 10. It got a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the fanboys, as Dave said, the fanboys, the people that played it. So there was jokes about this saying, if you want the most portable version and not get caught playing it, buy it on the Switch. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, it didn't get good reviews. Very average. But apparently, it is a sequel to a game that is celebrating its 10th anniversary. But, who cares?
Move on. Forget that one. Let's all try and wipe it from our minds.
Yeah, try and wipe it from our minds. Dear. Hopefully, moving on to something, again, the next 2 games are very sort of anime style, but probably a little bit more serious. This actually came out today. This is one of 2 games that came out today. This is Fallen Legion Revenants. Let's go check out the trailer for this one.
I'm liking the sound of that more than the last thing.
Yeah, fingers crossed this is a bit better. We'll see. This is the... now, interestingly enough, this came out a year ago on PlayStation 4, but it's came out today on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. So here we go.
Never forget, I hold the fate of Welkin in my palm.
I am discreetly hunting for allies within the castle. A problem is a barrier. A challenge is surmountable.
I know who I'm fighting for.
You beg me for mercy soon enough.
Just one night I'll cast aside any doubts that are in.
There we go. So, firstly, I want to say thank you to Moraman, who's just raided with a party of 7 people. Thank you for that. And he's also hosting my channel tonight. Thank you for that. Greatly appreciated, Moraman. Hope you're well. What did we think of that? I'm going to start with Jason.
I don't know. I think I want that Japanese one back. I don't even know. The problem with this is, intro was kind of cool, had that kind of Castlevania vibe to it, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, this could be, something pretty good. This, and then looking at that, I don't know what it is. I couldn't describe what that game is. Was it room by room? Was it scrolling? Was it? I don't know what it was. So it's really, really hard to understand. Didn't do anything for me. I love the name, and that's pretty much where it started going pear-shaped.
Dave, what are your thoughts?
I think it's one of those JRPGs, isn't it? If like Persona, if you're a fan of those sort of things, you'll probably get something out of this. From what I could tell from what I read briefly earlier, you've got sort of two sides to it. You've got that section where you're kind of in a castle, moving around, talking to people, making choices that affect the story. Then you've got your standard turn-based combat in the other sections. So it looks okay graphics-wise. Didn't do anything to really excite me. It's not like shooting Japanese girls, is it?
No, I'm falling in love with you. I know.
None of that there. So no, it's not going to be one I would go out and play. So if it popped up on something like, again, I always say if it pops up on Game Pass, I'd play it. But at least that's a good thing. If things do pop up on there, you'll give them a go, even if you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell what that's going to be like. So it'd be nice to be able to play it on a service where it's not going to cost you anything extra. See if you like it.
Just want to say a quick thank you to Terric97 who did give us a follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I mean, this for me, it don't really tick any boxes for me. It's not really my kind of thing. What do we reckon this got? Duran says 5 out of 10. Amazing intro, but the game, meh. Discord saying 6 out of 10. What do we reckon? Dave, I'll go with you first.
I'm going to go for a 6. Didn't look anything special.
Okay, Jason?
See, it's funny because I was going to agree with Discord as well and go 6 is about right, but I'll go one down. I'll go with Duran then 5. I reckon it's probably
okay. It was 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
6 out of 10. As I say, that came out today and is out on. It's already out on PlayStation 4. Came out last year. It's now out on PlayStation 5 and also Switch. So again, that's your kind of thing. Go check it out. Right, moving on to another story, and unfortunately, yes, it's that time of the show where
finally Cyberpunk time.
I know. It's I keep pushing.
Everyone's been waiting.
I know each show. If Mia's still there, she's probably like, "I'm going to tune out. I'm not listening to more Cyberpunk news." So last week we spoke about the facts, and it was interesting because Dave, you said, this might not actually come to anything, but we kind of talked about it. It's the fact that someone claimed on Twitter to have hacked CD Projekt Red and basically stole a load of coding, not only from Cyberpunk, but also The Witcher 3, and basically said, due to the lack of support that you've given us, you deserve this. If you do not pay me so many millions of pounds in the next 48 hours, I am selling this coding and I'm going to ruin your company. Now, we didn't hear anything for a couple of days, and it was kind of a two-bit story, weren't it, Dave? We talked about it and we said, might not come to anything. It was actually announced literally 2 days ago that coding was taken by them. It did go, and it was sold on the dark web. CD Projekt Red have confirmed that it was. Now, we don't know who's bought it. Certain sources from the dark web said it was done on an online auction. Only one person obviously bought it, but they've said they will not be reselling it, but they now hold it. Do you think this is just crazy shit, or do you think this is just a really bad publicity stunt to make CD Projekt Red look better? Jason, I'll start with you.
I mean, I'm not convinced it makes them look better anyway, because they've already, been absolutely hammered for how bad they've been throughout the whole Cyberpunk thing, releasing it unfinished, pressures, all the internal HR stuff with, crunch periods, being overworked, not a great place to work. I think also then saying, hey, we've also got shit cybersecurity and our IT guys are pony. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world. I mean, Christ, they'd have been better off saying that someone stole Cyberpunk code, played around with it, and that's why it was released screwed up, because someone messed it up. That'd have been they could have got away with that. That'd have been far more credible. But I don't. The problem for me is I don't one, I don't see how it helps anyone. Two, I don't agree with that whole argument of, hey, CD Projekt Red did something bad with Cyberpunk in terms, so therefore let's do something bad again to counter that. That's just bad for bad. That's wrong for wrong. I just don't understand that. The fact that whoever's done it has gone on and sold it kind of imply, they've done it for money, not for principle. So they're trying to kind of be holier than thou about why they've done it, but they're not helping anyone by doing it other than themselves. Because unless maybe I'm wrong, maybe they've taken that money and they've done something good for people that need it. But I don't know. It just seems ludicrous, and I just don't see the point in it. And kind of hammering someone's IT when you're kicking a development team that's already pretty down at the moment. And I just don't, for what is, to be fair, outside of cyber. I mean, they are an exceptionally talented development team, and I just don't see how this helps. I don't see the point.
Dave, your thoughts on it?
Not in wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't help us all, as Jason says. I mean, it'll just delay them doing any extra bits for Cyberpunk for a little bit, won't it? While they're sourcing out all the issues inside the studio, because they've got to make sure it's secure. They've got to check there's nothing been left behind that could be used to get back in again and steal more stuff. So they're going to spend a bit of time doing that before they can get off updates for Cyberpunk back out there. And yeah, it's probably just for money. When they're saying it's because they did something bad, it is just an excuse, definitely, as Jason says. No other way around that. But it'd be interesting to see what's actually going to happen with it. Because I think the people that brought it said that they don't want it to be sold anywhere else. Well, I can't really imagine you can really trust the hackers who stole it in the first place to not do something else with it further down the line. I don't know how that would really work. It's really not the most trustworthy bunch.
How do you know that you're the only one that's got that copy of it?
Yeah, exactly. They might have given it to loads of other people. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. And it makes the bigger concern is, you've got to remember as well that for all the vitriol and all the scorn that's been pulled on CD Projekt Red before Cyberpunk, they were a top tier development team, and they still are. They're a good development team, but you forget that they're still people. And when you've taken this level of kicking, and then now someone's kicking them even more, you worry about, some people at the very top of that place could just go, you know what, I'm done. Forget about it. And in a year, you suddenly don't have that development team anymore, and we all lose out then by missing a lot of potentially good products down the line, because these guys are just so battered and bruised. They've gone 11 rounds, they're punch drunk, and they think, nah, bollocks to it. I'll take the money, go off, do something else, which wouldn't be a good thing for the industry and for all of us. It's,
I'm sure Duron's joking, but he was like, hey, I have money now because I sold some codes. But if it was you, Duron, I know you don't like Cyberpunk anyway, but God help me if it was you. That'd be hilarious. We'll get an in-depth scoop with you, interview you next week. There we go. Okay, moving on. This is going to be the last game we talk about. This also came out today. Another anime style. Reminds me a bit of Battleships, is the only thing I can say. Half the trailer kind of shows you battleships. The other half is just, again, dressed with people in bloody costumes. I don't know why, but this is how it works. This is Azur Lane Crosswave. Let's go check out the trailer for this one.
Sounds like a snowboard.
It does. Maybe it'd be better if it was a snowboarding simulator. We'll see. There you go. Sharp, that trailer. That trailer's like literally a couple of seconds. So basically battleships, but you add weapons and that. I would like to see more of the actual battleship bits. It was like 4 seconds of the 60-second trailer or 30-second trailer, whatever it was.
Yeah. Battleships with scantily clad Japanese anime girls.
Yeah.
It's clearly what it needed. Battleships wasn't sexy enough as it was.
It probably is the fact that probably if you shoot them with your cannons, then it makes them fall in love with you. It's the same as that other bloody game, but I don't know. We'll have to see. What do you think to this?
Oh, I'd say it's a no from me.
Yeah, hard pass.
Hard pass on that. Look crap.
Jesus. it's like the worst development kind of brain ever. It's like somebody's taken two things. Like, well, I quite like anime and I quite like battleships in the same way that I like dogs and I like peanut butter, but I don't rush out and make a peanut terrier, would I? It's just a ludicrous combination of two things, and you're just thinking battleships is a bit shit anyway. So the last thing it probably needed was an anime makeover. Do you know what I mean? It's just like the one thing it didn't need was a load of scantily clad Japanese girls kind of bouncing around on pogo stick missiles. I don't. What a load of shite. Sorry, I'm being extremely negative. This is as a guest. I must be
no. Do you know what? This is what we like. We like people to be honest about it.
Colourful.
If you think something's shit, you could say it. That's the whole point of it.
I think it's quite interesting how the standard of the games has just gone down since we started. We're hitting rock bottom there.
The standard of guests, it's like Jesus. Yeah, that was poor. I mean, it's not for me. It's not for me at all.
No, it's funny how like most of the games that got good reviews came out before the weekend, and the stuff that's come out after the weekend has got gradually worse. So God help us for the stuff that comes out later this week, which we'll talk about on next week's show. Thank you, Tomorrow Man, for the 10 bits. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for tipping me. So what do we reckon this got out of 10? This has come out on the Switch only, just to say. Came out today on the Nintendo Switch. What did we reckon this got out of 10? Let us know what you think in the chat and give us your scores out of 10 for this. John was saying 4 out of 10 on it. Don't like it. Don't like the vibe of it, which is pretty much what I
seems a bit generous after looking at that trailer. I'm going to give it a 2.
Give it a 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Jason?
I mean, you know, there's a lot of reviewers out there that do have a bit of a Japanese fanboy about them. So I think there'll probably be some that love it just because it's anime. I'd go 5.
Okay. Any more guesses in the chat? Let us know. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Discord says 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Ooh, okay. Well, I can reveal, just like the last game, 6 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. It's going to appeal to some people. It's not going to appeal to all people. But there you go. That's our 9 games that we've talked about this week. Just give you a quick recap, and then we're going to go on to talk about some other stuff. So we had Little Nightmares 2, 7 out of 10. That's out on PC, PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox. Super Mario 3D World Plus Fury. That's out obviously on Switch. Got 8 out of 10. Persona 5, which is out on all platforms, got 8 out of 10. On the Road Truck Simulator for Xbox and PlayStation got 5 out of 10. Death Crown, 9 out of 10 for PC, Xbox, and Switch. Ultimate Adom Caverns of Chaos for the PC. Didn't get a review. Gal Gun Returns for Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch. 5 out of 10. Fallen Legion Revenants for Switch and PlayStation. 6 out of 10. And Azur Lane Crosswave, or as we call it, shit battleships, out on the Switch. 6 out of 10. So those are the games that we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about more games next week. I've actually really badly not done my research. I haven't got a clue what's coming out over the next couple of days, but I'm sure we'll talk about some games and some we've never heard of.
If not, we'll fill the time with Cyberpunk.
Well, yeah, there's probably enough stories about it. Yeah. You know, we'll probably be floating on the stock exchange or some shit like that. I don't know. We'll think of something. And if we haven't got any decent news, we'll just make it up because that's what happens half the time with this stuff. There we go. Here we go. Moraman has cheered another 10 bits. Thank you so much for the seems good to me bits. Thank you very much. Discord says, could we do a raid at the end of the show? Don't care who, just for the mojo points we get. I could probably set that up if you want me to do that. In fact, I don't even think you need to guide the raid. I'll let you do that. We'll do that near the end. We'll find someone. If Vinny's still on, if he hasn't finished, we'll raid Vinny's channel. He's playing some mad games, I think, from what I can see on the other screen. So we'll do that. But we'll have a little vote in a bit, in about 20 minutes' time. I'm going to talk about our last news story, last news story tonight. For those who read what it was in the Discord or on the Facebook, etc., can you guess? Now, I know Jason and Dave will know because I briefed them what this was going to be. Can you guess what the best-selling game of the year so far has been. Have a guess in the chat. I'd like to know if you can guess what the best-selling game of this year so far is. Now, doesn't necessarily mean that game's come out this year. I can tell you it actually came out a couple of months ago, and we talked about it on one of our first shows. Joran is saying either Last of Us 2 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I can tell you it's neither of those. Any other guesses, folks? Discord has hit the money on the head. It is Call of Duty Cold War. Does that surprise? Doom? No, unfortunately not. Discord's got it right. It's Call of Duty Cold War. Does that surprise you guys that that's like the best-selling game so far for this year?
Well, no, because it's a huge franchise, Call of Duty. I mean, if it hadn't been that, I would have expected it to be one of the EA Sports titles, like a FIFA or a Madden, something like that.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of same, really. I mean, I think they're slowly moving away from Modern Warfare, aren't they? I think the maps have been done to death. The DLC's boring. Everyone's kind of platinumed up or golded up all the camos and stuff. I think naturally people just migrate to the next one, don't they? And it's a Treyarch game, so I think the problem with Modern Warfare is a lot of the way that they created all the maps. It's very, very camp heavy. So like you can't snipe, you can't do any of that. Everything is about camping. So the way that it plays, it's just, I think it kind of, some people love it, some people hate it, and I think what they've done quite well with Cold War is they've just made it fun again. You just run around shooting, you're getting loads of kills, you're getting loads of points. There's, the maps they're not really camping type maps. So I found it visually it's a bit weird, but other than that, I mean, I'm enjoying playing it. So I've kind of migrated across. So it doesn't surprise me that that's something that everyone just goes to. But there is a bit of a Lemmings-esque element to it as well, and it's like with FIFA, and people just buy the next iteration because they have that FOMO thing where they don't want to feel like they've missed out. And if all it takes is a couple of your mates to go and start playing that instead of the old one, and your hands are tied, aren't they? Your money's in your hands in your pocket, and you're getting your 60 quid out. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to throw out here as well is, now this is just for the US games market, this next bit. So bear that in mind. In the top 100 games or best sold games, where do you think Call of Duty Cold War sits currently for the US market of the best one or the best selling 100 games
of all time, or just so far?
They're probably saying in the last 20 years was the survey.
Oh God, no! Somewhere in maybe it's going to the top 20 or something, maybe.
Okay. Joran says number 3. Okay. Anyone else got anything? Jason, what do you reckon?
I'd have said probably. I mean, the market's been a bit. I'd have said probably top 10.
Okay. Any other guesses we got in the chat? Pop them in there. I like the fact that Discord said most people get lots of kills on COD game, and then there's me at minus 35. When he says me, he doesn't mean Discord. He means me, middle. Yeah, I'm crap at it. I can't it stuff. But there you go. Any other guesses? I'll give you 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1. You weren't listening. You put a random number. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. I could tell you, Dave was very close. It's the 20th.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So, there you go. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still way up there at the top.
That just keeps selling and selling, doesn't it? I don't think it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. And I think for the fact that they've even said they are going to do another next generation thing for it, aren't they? For PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X. That just shows you it's the game that just keeps on giving.
Well, if you remember when they first showed off some of the PS5 games, that was what they opened with, GTA 5. Opened that show with that one. I was thinking, really? What are you showing that for? But no, it's still hugely popular. Yeah, they're going to do a next-gen upgrade for it. Okay.
They're still adding content to it with all the stuff. They're still these years. I've lost... How many years old is it now? Because I've lost track. Because I remember when it came out on the 360.
Oh, guys, it's in like 7 years now. I've lost track as well. Yeah. It's been going longer than you think. It really
GTA 5.
God, yeah.
How old is that now?
It's got to have been, probably 12, 13, 14, something around that sort of there. So yeah, it's got to be a good 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they must. I don't know when they'll put it out on next gen. Or I suppose it's current gen now, isn't it? But I just think they must be getting the first party. Sony, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft must be getting so much flack and stick at the moment off first party and third party publisher and developers, because if you've spent the literally millions and millions of pounds and dollars it would have cost you to develop a good game for those platforms, and you've got such a kind of a kind of dog-tied install base because there's just not enough consoles out in the market. So even if every single person bought your game, you're still not going to do the volume that you thought you would for relative to the cost. And I mean, that was always the argument about when a new console was launched, the first parties would always try and work with you as a developer or a publisher, and they'd co-support you. So they'd usually either help you with the development cost or help you with the marketing cost. And the idea being that, it made sense for you to be in that early phase of the launches. But the problem is if the hardware isn't in the market, no one can buy your game. It doesn't matter how good your game is. I couldn't get hold of a PS5. Couldn't get hold of one, so I haven't got one. And I'm desperate to play Demon Souls because it's literally like one of my favorite ever game franchises, Demon Dark Souls. But I can't get hold of one. Scalpers, all right, we've talked about them anyway, but I just can't get one. So I know they're having problems with getting the hardware, but if you were a developer or a publisher and you've put that amount of money into development, you're going to be kicking at the moment because you just can't do the software sales you need because the hardware install base is just not there right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know when, I don't normally, if you look at something like a GTA, they spend so much money on it. They need to do big volume, huge volume, and the amount of money that the publisher will pay will pay for that. They need to have a good install base. You've got to have millions and millions of units installed, and right now the hardware isn't there.
It's interesting because obviously we had the other discussion a couple of weeks ago about certain games where they've done a next gen version for it, but they're like, but you're gonna have to buy it again. It's not going to be cross-play and save your saves. And we had the discussion about this, and at the moment, people are kind of like, well, if I got the game, I shouldn't have to buy it again. But then you've got the other fan base. Well, like, well, no, I want to buy it again because I love this game so much. There's a very bizarre divide with it, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
How it works. And I'm sure we're going to see lots of... we've already talked about certain remastered games this year that are coming out for the next gen, but I'm sure we're going to see loads more that'll come out. And sometimes, I know they've got to develop it, but I'm guessing it could... For some, not all, but some, it can be an easy money maker for some game studios, can't it? Because they've got a much loved product, they can just touch it up, make it better, put a bit of development into it. They're guaranteed the sales from it, aren't they?
Yeah, at the moment. I think that's the thing, of course, is everyone that has managed to be fortunate enough to get hold of one of the new consoles, they're starved for content, aren't they? They're desperate to play stuff, and that's why you'll get some people that, like you said, they'll either they'll take some old code and they'll quickly, tweak it, polish it, increase the resolution of the visuals a little bit, maybe stick an extra level or character on, wallop it out there, and they'll probably get far more sales than they would have if it was a kind of, second or third phase of console cycle where there was too much competition and, saturated market, whereas at the moment, there's just not enough out there. People are desperate to play stuff. So. And that's good in a way because it'll mean that a lot of the digital stuff will get more exposure, and that's always a good thing. If you're a small team, small developer, you can do a digital-only product. Do a PS sort of store version, and you'll actually find you probably get some pretty good exposure. They'll be pushing that because of the fact there aren't that many physically released products out there, not the big budget stuff, because there just isn't the install base. Everyone's doing enhanced, aren't they? It's a player. Most of the launch titles, if you think about it, were PS4 and Xbox, with enhanced versions, weren't they?
Yeah. There's a lot. That's the thing. And really, it was only, again, PlayStation had most of the sort of exclusive ones. Xbox didn't really. It was kind of, there are new games, but you can get these on other, consoles as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was meant to be Halo, wasn't it? Their big exclusive, which we all know got pushed back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was nothing really, massive yet you could get on the Series X you couldn't get already on your standard Xbox. But at least the PS5, you had your Demon Souls, your Astro's Playroom.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things.
Bug snacks.
Bug snacks, yeah. But as you say, it's going to take a while for that install base to sort itself out, especially all the delays in the manufacturing process.
Yeah, right.
I think you're going to find
I didn't bother with the Xbox because I've got a really good PC. So 90% of what's going to be out on Xbox, it's a PC code base anyway. So I'm going to get the PC version, and I'll probably get it on Game Pass or UB Connect or Steam. Or, I'll end up playing it on that. So there's very few things that I want a PlayStation 5 because I want to play Demon Souls. That's that is literally the only reason. But I'm not going to pay £1,000 on eBay for one and find out I get a box with a brick in it.
Yeah, yeah. Or a blender, as someone got, I think.
No, just not going to do it. But no. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one because if you're honest, if you asked anyone that did manage to get a PlayStation 5 or a new Xbox, would they right now, other than the fact that would they be happy with what they've got? When you think about what they've spent for it and the games that they're playing, would they be happy? I mean, yeah, they're getting maybe 60 frames a second, and maybe it looks ever so slightly better, but. No one's playing it on an 8K TV at the moment, are they? Really? So I don't know. I want one.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. I can't comment. I didn't buy mine. It was bought for me as a present, so I can't. But I am very happy with my Xbox Series X. But I do feel that there's actually only been like one game so far that's an exclusive, but you'll be able to get that on PC, as you said, Jason. You'll be able to get
That's
that.
the medium, isn't it? You're talking about.
I really want to play that, which is great. But there's nothing else that's screaming at me to get. But I am enjoying playing some of my older games. They look fantastic. Like just by pure chance, I whacked the Division 2 on, just because there was something they were doing a giveaway to do Resident Evil, and I whacked it and went, "Christ, this looks so much better." And it was just I was only on it for a bit, and I was like, I might need to start playing this again because I stopped playing it before Christmas. So just things like
they're doing
that.
like the 4K 60 patches for a lot of games now. Because I just started playing God of War again on the PS5 with that, and that it plays beautifully, 60 frames per second in full 4K all the time. Fantastic game. So I've played mostly exclusive on the PS5 as well. Like, I've played a bit of Demon Souls. I've been playing that. It's been quite good. Astro's Playroom, Miles Morales has been playing that on there. That does look good, especially with the ray tracing on. It's been good.
Spider-Man's, that's the one that I'm playing for because, like, you're playing Division 2 on it. I played that on PC, so it probably looks like what it looked like for me, a year or two ago, kind of thing. Whereas the PlayStation stuff, I am desperate to play the new version of Demon Souls. But the problem is, of course, now is because they're having all this problem with the hardware. It'll get to a point soon where even a sort of fanboy like me that is desperate to get one.
Yeah,
I'll end up starting to think, well, how long before they start doing a pro version or a slimline version, or do you know what I mean? And then I'm kind of going to be like, well, should I wait until that comes now, or wait until they do a decent bundle where they're more available and I'll actually get the game that I want or the games that I want with it, rather than just going and buying a piece of hardware.
I think a lot of people would like a slim version of it because it is a bit of a beast. Not an easy console to put somewhere. It doesn't fit in my TV cabinet vertical.
And that'll be the thing. And you get to that point, don't you? Whereas even as an early adopter, you're like, well, I'm not an early adopter now because it's out. But do I want to get one next month, or am I better off waiting now? Because maybe by August, September, maybe they start doing a new, or maybe they delay that because of all the problems they've had with this first phase. I don't know. It's difficult to know what's going on in there.
Well, let's move away from all the new stuff and let's talk a little bit retro. Before I do that, I want to say hello to Hip Spicy Memes. Carl sent you. You're more than welcome. Thank you. Thanks for coming over there. But let's talk about retro, because obviously, Jason, at the start of the show, you talked about you've got the retro arcade machines. Do you want to talk about a little bit more about that and some of the games that are on it, and how we can get one of your wonderful arcade cabinets? We'll give you a bit of a plug.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they are pretty much they're neat little machines, because the problem, of course, now is when you think about a lot of these games. I mean, the games I grew up playing, they were kind of your Spy Hunters, your Kung Fu Masters, Hyper Sports, all these kind of things. But they were still probably very early 80s, going through the majority of the 80s. So you're still talking about machines that are like 40 years old. So trying to actually get hold of good conditioned originals is one thing. That's hard enough. But then thinking, well, hang on, when I start writing a list of my favourite games, there's about 300 of them. So I'm never going to have the space or the room. So I was thinking there's got to be a way. So I was looking at some of the emulation stuff, and I was looking at, the different types of games in the system. So we started to put together, I've got a full-size arcade machine that runs off a kind of PC emulation. And that's nice, and it's got a nice engine, but it was expensive. And I was thinking, I want to try and preserve some of these old games and some of these things that I remember really fondly that I grew up with, like the Ghosts and Goblins and Golden Axe and, Hunchback, Green Beret, kind of, all these real old school things. And I wanted a way that made sense, but also wasn't prohibitive. So I looked at bar tops, which are the little bar top arcades. So it's kind of, it's like the top part of an arcade. So you can see it behind me, can't you? The thing on the thing. So it's a little screen, 2 joystick, 2-player, and it's got kind of anywhere from like 2,000 to I think 8,700 games on it. So loads of the original old arcade games, plus loads of other games on there as well. So it's just everything that you want. It's like having your own arcade in your house in a box. So it's nice and easy, and they're all configured, and you get to play them. And it just gives me a chance to kind of recapture a little bit of my youth, which is like my hair ever so quickly slipping away. But it's there's because it's kind of mad because everyone talks about all the different generations and the 1-bit and 2-bit and all this kind of stuff, and I look at it more as the generation stuff. And I just, when I was doing consoles when I was younger, like Master Systems and SNESes and all that, but there was also the stuff before that, like the 2600s and even ColecoVisions and stuff. And some of it I was genuinely too young to remember, but some of them I still play those games now, and I still get the same sense of enjoyment and the thrill out of it and the love for it. And they don't look the same. Of course, it's not a patch on people playing Last of Us 2. Kids now are going to look at me playing Hunchback and think, what's going on? Did he make that himself in his lunch hour? But for me, it was awe. It was just awe-inspiring. It was beautiful, and it was just something that I would hope I never forget how important arcade games and video games in general have been in my life. I've been very lucky, career out of it, very good career out of it. But it helped me get through it was like Narnia. It was my little magic wardrobe. It was the place I could go to. It was my escape, hard times at school, angry stepdads, all that kind of stuff. It was the one constant I had. I wasn't who I was. I wasn't a young kid getting, knocked about. I was a footballer, a fighter, a wizard, a warrior, whatever I wanted to be. It always gave me that choice and that comfort. So I love my video games, and they mean something different to everyone, but for me it's a real valuable part of my life. So this is about preservation for me. It was about a way of trying to allow other people who perhaps didn't grow up in that same era that I did to experience them, but do it in a way that's a little bit more modern. So rather than expecting them to go out and buy all these old consoles and old arcade games, which are most of which you can't even find anymore, this was a way of sticking it all in a box.
Okay. If we've got people in the chat or people are watching this on catch up either on Twitch or on YouTube, if they want one of your amazing cabinets, how do they do that?
They can go to the website, which is arcadeaction.co.uk. If you stick the code AA, so AA and then 10, so AA10, they'll get like 10% off as well. So they're priced between $499, $699, but if you stick the 10% code in, then obviously you'll get kind of, between 50 and 70 quid off each of the packages. So they're nice, they're great gifts, they're good fun. You can stick them in your office, stick them in your games room, stick them in your house, stick it on the edge of your desk. They're just good fun. And like I said, if you pick up one that's got, 8,000 odd games on it, then it's pretty good value as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll get more details off Jason, and I will chuck all the details on our Facebook or Twitter and on the Discord. So if you're interested in getting one, you can drop Jason a line and use the code to get you 10% off. So appreciate that offer, mate. That's fantastic. Thank you for our viewers. So we're going to wrap up the show with a couple of little things. Normally we play some little videos of quirky little things. There was 2 that caught my eye this week, both of which I think are going to have very mixed opinions. Now, the first one, we've kind of already talked about Pokemon. I'm going to bring this on. So there has been, obviously with the pandemic, lots of virtual online concerts because obviously people can't perform live. But one thing that did happen, especially over the couple of months, is that well-known singers, performers, DJs started turning up in video games such as Fortnite and Roblox, and started doing concerts live on stage. Now, the latest one to do this is Post Malone. And Post Malone has announced that at the end of this month, he is doing a virtual concert on Pokemon Day. So we're going to play the trailer for that. And then we're going to talk about something else that has just been announced in the last couple of days. So here we go. Whether you like him or hate him, is Post Malone.
It's crazy. I never would have guessed we would be here today. After 25 years, it's you, the fans, that make all this possible. It's been a wild journey so far. But now we're here. And it feels so good.
There we go. So that's the first one. Post Malone turning up in a Pokemon thing and doing a concert. Do you think this is, I'll touch on this very briefly, because we only got a couple of minutes left. Do you think this is something that's just going to keep happening now? We're going to get well-known artists just turn up in different video games. Dave, very quickly.
Well, I suppose it's a good platform, isn't it? You know, a lot of these things like Pokemon and Minecraft and Roblox, they've got these huge audiences, haven't they already? So if these people who they can't go and perform anywhere at the moment, can't do the big stadium tours that lots of people go and see. So it's a good place to go do a concert to the masses in the current situation. So yeah, I don't see why not. I can't say I've heard of the guy. No idea who he was.
I think I know one of his songs and I quite like it, but I don't know.
Never heard of him. Never seen him before.
No. Joe?
I want to hope that it's that a creative artist or creative artist thinking further outside the box and thinking, how can we get around this problem that this global pandemic has caused? And, how can we still do what we love? And how can we still keep kind of, providing that, that kind of value that music and all creative arts offer to people? There's another bit of me that thinks, yes, they'll keep doing it as long as people like Nintendo pay them so much money to do it as a Pokemon stunt. So I don't know, is it a PR thing or is it just, is it that they're genuinely out there trying to provide kind of their vibe to their audience? I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, I'm not familiar. He looks like he could be equally at home as a Bond villain. I think he'd make an excellent James Bond villain. He's got a bit of a Jaws vibe about him, like that. But yeah, I think you can easily see how people will. The thing is, performers will always go where there's an audience, and they'll always naturally seek out the biggest available audience at that time, won't they? And right now, they can't go to studios. So I mean, I commend them for the. I always commend creative people being more creative because I'm not overly creative, so I do respect what they're doing. So yeah, let's fingers crossed that it's doing for the right reasons.
Cool. Well, you can check out all the details of that on the Pokemon website, and that is at the end of the month. I think it's the last Saturday of the month that he's performing on that. So we'll probably report on that, see how well that went. Now, the last little thing that caught my eye, and apologies, we're running just a couple of minutes late, but last thing caught my eye. One of the last films to hit cinemas before the pandemic hit, I'm not going to say what it is, was actually a surprise success because when the trailers come out, everyone said, this looks shit. It actually did really well. And they've announced a sequel coming out next year. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to play the trailer and then you can basically tell me your thoughts in the chat. But here we go with our last little video. And this is very short and it's a teaser. Don't expect to see anything else. It's literally going to tell you the name of the film. So here we go. If it'll play. Here we go. There you go. That's it. That is it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, is coming out April next year. Now, how the bloody hell they've managed to film this, because the last one only came out February of last year, but was actually a big success. Yeah, we actually did really well at the box office. But obviously they've teased that Tails is going to be in this one, as you can see. But yeah, what did either of you see this? I know people who saw it and said it was actually really good. I've not seen it, so is this something you're looking forward to, Dave?
No. I'm afraid. It doesn't interest me at all. I remember watching the trailer for the first one, and obviously they redesigned Sonic, and he did look a bit better. But I remember that initial trailer, and I just thought it just didn't look very good as a film. You know, it's just grabbing the character, a few things to do with the game, and putting it into a fairly generic sort of kids action story. I don't think it looks that remarkable at all. So no, I can't say I'll be rushing out to see this one.
Okay.
But who knows if we'll any of us will be able to? Probably just sit at home and it will stream to us on whatever service.
Yeah, I do want to see the first one because I heard good things. Jim Carrey's in it, and apparently, even though the trailers to me look trash, everyone who did see it and friends of mine said it was actually good fun and it was quite funny. But it does worry me that this one's coming out so quickly. Now let's assume it does come out on that date because all these films keep getting postponed back. But isn't that just a bit worrying? This could be a really bad cash grab. What do you reckon, Jay?
Yeah, and I'm with Mia in that I miss cinemas because I miss the cinema experience. I miss going there. I miss kind of having a snack, having the food, having the drink. I wouldn't go to see the Sonic film. I'm a big fan of Sonic, but I think video game kind of movie tie-ins sort of went downhill after I saw Street Fighter with I think Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie in it. It was just bizarre. It's like
never recovered since then.
My life, and I was just like, doesn't work. I mean, I'd be a little worried about how quick they've got it out, but I never saw the first one. So I mean, listen, if there's an audience out there, and what you want to hope is that this it keeps people alive and interested in the franchise, but also maybe introduces new people to the franchise, to video games, and therefore they'll go ahead and buy a console or whatever. So I want it to work for that reasons, but I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. And I mean, if Post Malone's going to be in it, that's different. That's a new story. If he's in there, beating 7 shades of Sonic, then count me in. But at the moment,
I can get into the credit song.
Yeah,
probably. I'll kill the hedgehog. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, I like the idea of going and having a crack. It was, I love the cinema. I'm just not sure I'd want to go and see that in the cinema. That's all.
There's quite a few people. Someone was hoping it was the next Detective Pikachu. Again, I heard wonderful things about that, but I've not seen that. That's supposed to be very good. Hi to Kuda Boy. Good to see you. Made him want go to the Sonic Drive-In and have a blue raspberry slushy now. Mia said could end up on Netflix. That's very true. There's some big name films that have ended up on Amazon and Netflix that should have been at the cinema. Could happen. And Discord said, and I didn't know this, the person that does the voice for Sonic was the same voice actor that does Mirage on Apex Legends. There you go. But there we go. Ladies and gents, that's it for us. Thank you so much. Sorry we ran a few minutes late. Thank you for tuning in. We will do a raid, and I'm going to try and make this work now. I'm going to quickly try and do this. I don't normally raid after a show. Jason probably thinks this sounds really bad, but basically what it means is like we had people coming from other people's channels. We just take our audience and send it to someone else's. And say,
I thought you sort of meant like a Discord, like World of Warcraft raid. I was going to get all kind of murdered up. I was going to get my swerve on and get my druid tank out. But okay. You're
Post Malone on it. A good friend of the channel is Vinny. He's playing Dark Souls right now. And knowing him, he's probably drinking every time he dies because I've watched him do this. So I think we'll raid Vinny. I'll just set this up. So if you want to join, you can join in. If you want to opt out, you can do that. I'm going to hit that button and fingers crossed that is going to work. We'll see that you can join. That's going to be starting in about 10 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Jason.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and we will get those details out to you. Big shout out to Dave, and we will be back next week, 9 o'clock for more TNGC. Thank you so much, everyone. The raid is literally happening now. Go show some love to Vinny. Mia. Hit that button. Bye, Mia. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. And
good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Good night.
Take care. Good night.